Tonight, on this, the third anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, an uncertain outlook for that country. Today, President Trump met with France's President Emmanuel Macron, and both indicated there's a path forward to peace. But how that peace is obtained is still an open question tonight. The reality on the ground 3 years into this war is stark. Families bury loved ones every single day. Our chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is in Kyiv tonight and has a look at what it may take for peace and the people caught in the middle of a war they did not ask for.
3 years since Russia launched a massive invasion of Ukraine. Today at the White House, President Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron pressed about their deep divisions when it comes to the future of Ukraine.
I've spoken to President Putin, and my people are dealing with him constantly, and they want to end this war.
With allies in Europe who've been left out of recent negotiations between the US and Russia watching closely, Macron making it clear this war can't end in Russia's favor.
This peace must not mean a surrender of Ukraine. It must not mean a ceasefire without guarantees. This peace must allow for Ukrainian sovereignty and allow Ukraine to negotiate with other stakeholders regarding the issues it affects.
When pressed, Trump again refusing to call Vladimir Putin a dictator, instead saying he might visit Moscow soon, a trip that would be a huge boost to Putin, who's been isolated from the West since the start of the war.
Mr. President, you called Zelensky a dictator. Would you use the same words regarding Putin?
I don't use those words lightly. I think that we're going to see how it all works out.
Russia now occupying 1/5 of all Ukrainian territory. Hundreds and thousands thought to have been killed, millions forced from their homes. The losses in this war are simply staggering. Today marks 3 long years of death, destruction and displacement. This is the second time Russia has invaded, and they need guarantees there won't be a third time. The toll staggering, and one that we've seen with our own eyes over the past 3 years. We're hearing the sound of fairly regular bombardment. We're close to the front lines. It's just down that road. The town of Irpin is being brutally shelled by Russian forces. Hundreds, thousands of civilians are desperately trying to get out of the town. I mean, it's hard to imagine that this was where someone was living. We could see the fire that's been here, the bomb damage. The only thing remaining that tells you this was someone's home is a radiator in the corner there. It's utterly shocking what they've done. We're travelling in a convoy with war crimes investigators. This is a recently liberated area, and already stories are starting to emerge of atrocities conducted by the Russians, and that's what we're going to see.
Тут вони утримувались. Ми зараз документуємо практично в кожному населеному пункті були такі. Я вам хочу сказати так, що саме за це місце місцеві, хто хоч якось спілкувалися з
But President Zelensky has stood strong and defiant as Ukraine's leader and is now under pressure, not just from Russia, but also the United States.
You're under pressure from Moscow to step aside and Washington to hold elections. Would you be willing to give up the presidency if it meant peace for Ukraine?
The Ukrainian leader telling me he's ready to resign if it means peace, and he offered to stand down if it meant membership of NATO, saying, "I'll do it immediately without a long conversation about it." The Trump administration pressing Zelensky to sign a deal giving the US permission to mine rare earth minerals and access to other resources. It appears very close to being sealed, but no sign of the security guarantees Ukraine needs to ensure Russia doesn't invade again. And this is why Ukraine needs those guarantees. Every single day for 3 years, Ukraine has been burying its sons and daughters. Alexander lost both of his legs in a Russian attack. It's a miracle he's alive. His body is broken, but his spirit strong. We can't stop the fighting, he says. It's the Russians who came here, not us. Yulia's been by her husband's side for more than a year of countless operations and a long, slow, painful recovery. They're strong for each other, but so is their 5-year-old daughter, Nicole. Yulia says whenever the girl gets money for her birthday or gifts, she sets it aside and says, this money is for Daddy's legs. Ukraine's future now depends on stopping Russia from invading Ukraine for a third time, to preserve that tenuous path to peace and end this long and brutal war.
Ian Pannell joins us now from Kyiv on the 3-year anniversary of the war. And Ian, I know that you've witnessed so much over the past few years. Curious what you think that the Ukrainian people will feel about whether this path forward seems viable at all.
Yeah, I mean, certainly people are hopeful. People are weary. They're exhausted by the war. They've suffered so much. Every single night here in the capital, Kyiv, and we've been here now for about 7 days or so, every single night there are drone attacks. You see anti-aircraft flare going up into the sky, and people can hear the drones. They hear the sirens. And that has become the kind of new normality for Ukrainians. But, of course, there is nothing normal about it. Almost everyone knows someone who's lost their life. Everyone knows someone who's fled to Europe. And many people know people who are on the front lines right now. So they dearly, dearly want an end to this war. But it's important to remember what's so critical. The Budapest Memorandum was signed after the downfall of the Soviet Union. Basically, Ukraine giving up its entire nuclear arsenal, had the world's third largest nuclear arsenal, in exchange for security guarantees. That's why President Zelensky and Ukrainians will tell you the security guarantees here are key. It can't be a piece of paper. It can't be a promise to come to Ukraine's aid, because that didn't work in the past. And I think certainly what they've heard from President Macron and also Keir Starmer of the UK, the idea about deploying a peacekeeping force, again, I don't think they're convinced that's enough. They say that they want the weapons and the air defences to be able to defend themselves, because they do not trust Vladimir Putin and any piece of paper he signs that he won't try and invade Ukraine for a third time. Linsey?
Distrust, obviously a huge issue there. All right, Ian Pannell, our thanks to you.